And welcome to Breakin Broncos podcast. I am again by myself, so there you go. Sorry about that, guys. Don't know where my co-host has went this time. Last time I kind of had an idea. This time he might be out in Texas still watching video games played by other people. I don't know. That's where he was last week, but I haven't talked to him today. I tried texting him before I got on here to see if he was on, but I got nothing. I will check again just to be sure. And nope, no response. So Dylan doesn't like me anymore, and we're gonna break. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm sure he's out doing something important. I'm sure he's got some kind of family issue. Otherwise, he'd be here or something of that nature. That's something to do. Otherwise, he would be here. He enjoys being here with you guys as much as I do. So I am sure he will be back next week. Just gonna have to deal with me being solo again here for Breakin Broncos. But let's go ahead and jump on into it. Preseason game 1 review. Who stood out? Who do you want to see more of? All those good things we're going to go over. It was actually a very impressive first game, especially with the fact that the Broncos had only had, I believe it was 3 padded practices before that first preseason game. So to see the physicality, especially on the defensive side, where they shut out the Dallas Cowboys, who was the best offense in the league on a points per game basis at over 31 points per game last year. Yes, they didn't face the starters, but hey, their backups had to go against our backups, and our backups are way better. And the Cowboys looked like absolute booty the whole time. I did not hear a single pundit from anywhere. It does not matter what medium you are talking about. Not a single pundit from any show across any platform had anything good to say about the Dallas Cowboys outside of Trayvon Diggs had a couple of good moments against Cortland Sutton, and Micah Parsons looks good, which we all knew that. We all knew that Trayvon Diggs and Micah Parsons were their 2 best players. That's nothing new. So the fact that absolutely nobody else on the roster stepped up, and even their other stars, Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, etc., were absolutely demolished in the Thursday practice, where they had the number 1s from the Cowboys go against the number 1s of the Broncos, and Russ and company absolutely cooked the Cowboys' lunch on Thursday afternoon and in the morning. There was not, again, a single pundit that had a single positive thing to say outside of Trayvon Diggs and Micah Parsons for the entirety of the joint practices between the Cowboys and the Broncos. So not even in practice did they look good when it was the 1s versus the 1s. And then when it got to game time and it was the 2s versus the 2s and the 3s versus the 3s, they got mollywopped. They got absolutely manhandled by the Broncos, and this has done nothing but reinforce exactly what I said would happen. Everybody wanted to talk about Russell Wilson and this offense, and nobody was wanting to talk about this defense. Well, the defense showed out. Yes, Josh Johnson and the offense had a couple of nice moments in the first half, but nothing that really blew the doors off of anything. I honestly liked what Brett Rippon did, even though he didn't score any points in the second half. What he did with Jalen Virgil and the 3s, with much less talent than Josh Johnson had, I would really like to see what Brett Rippon can do with the 2s this week. I would really like to see him be the guy that gets to run with the twos, just so we can see, make it a real competition between those two in the backup position. That's what I want to see more of. I want to see more of Brett Rippon, and I want to see him with the twos. When it comes to who stood out, we got a couple of guys. Jalen Virgil, number one that pops to my mind, especially in the second half. He led the team with 85 receiving yards. Um, he had some absolutely epic catches that belied his size. He's not an overly physically imposing receiver. He's not small either. He's about the size of Jerry Jeudy, but stupid fast. I think there might only be two other guys that can compete with Jalen Virgil when it comes to speed, and those are Montreal Washington and KJ Hamler, the two guys that ran a 4.3. I don't know what Jalen Virgil ran. I'll look up his 40 to see if I can find his 40 here. Oh, one of the top. Oh, yeah. Wow. Well, he's another 4.3 guy. He ran a 4.37. So we got three guys on the roster that have run a sub 4.4. That's KJ Hamler, Montreal Washington, and Jalen Virgil. So the Broncos brought the speed as well as the size. He jumped out, like again, especially in the second half, going up against those second and third teamers. He just absolutely cooked the Cowboys defense on several occasions down the left sideline and made absolutely spectacular catches. Like I believe it was a 35-yarder down the left sideline from Brett Rippon in the roughly about the halfway through the third quarter. Um, that play in itself was absolutely insane. To watch how he burned the guy off the line, was able to out physical the cornerback all the way throughout the route tree. That dude was in his hip pocket up until about the last 5 yards, where he just hit another gear. Like, it was insane to watch how fast he was going down the field, and then right before the catch, hits another gear to gain that separation that he got and make that diving catch. I don't remember who it was on, but that catch was absolutely insane. Brandon Johnson, the undrafted free agent, big bodied wide receiver, I think he might be the guy to replace Tim Patrick and have a very similar storyline. It's kind of crazy. They are almost identical when it comes to size and weight, height. All of those things are almost identical between Tim Patrick and Brandon Johnson. So I really liked what he did in the first half with Josh Johnson, the Johnson and Johnson. Yep, we did it. Connection was on point. It was absolutely on point. Johnson and Johnson, baby oil, slicking it right up, right down that right sideline. It was beautiful to watch. If that's what the second teamers can do, my goodness, what are these first teamers with Russ and Sut and Judy and Jay Will? I mean, Albert O is looking absolutely ridiculous out there and is getting praise from everyone. So the amount of weapons that are on this offense, it's just unfair. And uh, the rest of the AFC West needs to take notice. As much as everybody wants to talk about the Chiefs and the Hello, hello. Everybody can hear me. Hello. I just had some technical difficulties. I think I'm back. Can somebody let me know in chat? If they would, please. Hello, hello. I appreciate y'all. I do show somebody is still here, so if you could please type in chat. Let me know if you can hear me. I think I'm good. Boom. All right, good. All right. Sorry about that, guys. We lost internet here. I don't know what happened, and I'm hardwired. So it's not like, see right here. This is the internet cable. So it's not like I lost Wi-Fi. I was doing my best to make sure I stayed here with you guys. So I apologize for that, but I do appreciate the fact that some of y'all did stick around. I appreciate you letting me know. I appreciate that. All of it. Much love. So, all right. I apologize. I don't know where I was with you all. If somebody could tell me, so that way I don't repeat what I've already said. I was in such a rush to try and get myself back. I don't even remember what I was talking about. Oh, special teams. That's what I was talking about. I want to see more special teams, more good special teams, because Tom McMahon's special teams have sucked booty, super sucked booty. Like it's been just painful to watch those special teams. So to see Montreal Washington almost break a 70-yard touchdown, if it was not for a shoestring tackle on that return, he would have taken it to the house. So that is something we have not seen since Trendon Holiday in 2013, 2014. So it's been that long. It has been almost a decade since the Broncos have had good special teams and good returners. And it looks like they've got both on the same team. So all three phases showed up and showed out on Saturday. I want to see it again this Saturday. Repeat the performance. If the special teams can repeat the performance, the offense and defense can repeat that performance. I feel sorry for Von Miller and the Buffalo Bills this week because we're about to go stomping on that logo in the middle of their field. It's about to get ugly because Josh Allen's not going to play. I'm saying that because Josh Allen's not going to play. Most of the starters for the Bills are not going to play. So if this team is able to repeat their performance from last week on what they did to the Cowboys, a similar roster, this is a little bit better, but a similar roster in the Bills is going to get mollywopped just the way that the Cowboys did this coming Saturday. Sissy says hi. But so those are what I want to see more of. I want to see more of Brandon Johnson and Jalen Virgil. I want to see if they can repeat their performance. I want to see the special teams repeat their performance. And I want to see the defense and especially the pass rush. Baron Browning was a revelation on the outside. I know I've consternated all offseason about moving Baron Browning from the middle linebacker position to the outside linebacker position and how much that weakened the middle linebacker position. I did not realize how much of a strength he was going to be off the edge. He was an absolute monster off the edge for the Broncos. He lived in the backfield of the Cowboys the entire time he was on the field. He has solidified in my mind of being a legit pass rusher. His bend and his get off between him and Bitonio, excuse me, that almost went down the wrong hole. Between him and Bitonio, the speed off the edge from these backup edge rushers. Again, remember, these guys are the backups. One of them's a third stringer. Bitonio is a third stringer behind both Gregory and Malik Reed, as well as Baron Browning on the other side. So he's the third option on both sides. Baron Browning is the second option on one side. He is the backup to Randy Gregory. And then you got Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory to start it off. The pass rush is going to be insane. It was one of my biggest worries going into the preseason. But if the backups can play this well, I have nothing but hope and just absolute angst to see what Gregory and Chubb are going to be able to do as the number ones, and then being relieved by these other guys that can bring all of it. Malik Reed brings a bit of power as well as a little bit of speed. We just talked about how ridiculously athletic both Bitonio and Baron Browning are. So this pass rush is going to be absolutely insane. And we haven't even talked about the defensive line yet. The defensive line just gave their own moniker. They have so much confidence in themselves that their defensive line coach gave them a nickname that was revealed by DJ Jones over the weekend when he told Mile High Sports, or I'm sorry, SI.com, that Dark Side was his nickname. So for all you Star Wars nerds out there like me, I absolutely love this. I can't believe I went back just to make sure that nobody's ever used this moniker before. But surprisingly, they haven't. And the reason that he said that the coach came up with this is that they've been told you have to go into a dark place to play this game, which is 100% correct. You cannot play this game with love in your heart. It doesn't work. You can love before the game, you can love after the game, but during the game, you must hate everything and everyone that is not wearing the same colors as you. You must be willing to absolutely demolish anything that moves and is not in the same hue as you and your teammates. So the fact that they are preaching this and that it's gotten to the point where they've created a moniker out of it, I absolutely love. So I accept it. And let me double check Dylan. I want to make sure he didn't pop up in here. All right. It didn't. Ooh, I got a good question in the chat. I'm going to grab it in just a second. Just want to check. He was having internet issues as well. So we're having all kinds of technical issues. It's why Dylan's not here. So I did get a text while my internet was down from Dylan saying that he was not, or that he was trying to get in, but he's having internet issues. So he may be here, he may not. I just wanted to double check and make sure. And then now grabbing this. So I love this question because it actually works perfectly into what I was talking about, was the fact that this roster is stacked. Am I ready to sit here and say this is the 2015 Broncos? Not quite. Mainly because Chubb and Gregory have not proven that they are anywhere near Miller and Ware. If Chubb and Gregory are able to rush the passer, I'd say even 75% as efficiently and effectively as Miller and Ware and company did in 2015, this team could definitely make a run at that 2015 team. I mean, that is an all-time team. That is a absolutely epic team, top to bottom, even with Peyton Manning being on his last leg and essentially just being the ghost of Peyton Manning out there, kind of pushing the ball around the field to where it needs to be, not really throwing it anymore. So are they quite the 2015 Broncos? I don't think so yet. But they have the talent and the potential to be that dominant. And they could be that dominant this year. It all comes down to if the right tackle can hold up and the pass rush can get to the opposing quarterback. If the Broncos offensive line, specifically the right tackle, I don't really have a worry about anywhere else across the line. I'm comfortable with Graham Glasgow. I'm comfortable with Quinn Miners. I'm comfortable with Moody and Reisner, and even Garrett Bowles to an extent. But that right tackle still terrifies me. And the fact that Calvin Anderson could not seize the opportunity, he has not seized the opportunity up to this point. I do believe Billy Turner will take that, and that's not the ideal. I mean, when you look at the contracts, obviously Billy Turner's being paid more, so it looks like he should be the starter. But I don't trust Billy like that. He's okay. He's like a step below average, which with Russell Wilson and it being the right tackle position doesn't scare me as much because of just the elusiveness that Russ has, that letting Russ cook in that backfield with him leading the league in time between snap and throw essentially his entire career because of how much he extends the play and he refuses to ever give up on a play. That will bode well for the right tackle, but he still has to do his job. He still has got to get in there and get his nose dirty and make sure he keeps his quarterback as clean as possible. I don't know if they have that, though. That's what's terrifying. And then this pass rush. And after Jonas Griffith going down, I'm getting more and more worried about the middle linebacker position, despite the fact that Joe Schobert just got signed by the Broncos, where they obviously noticed that there's some depth issues there and wanted to add a former Pro Bowler to the roster. But again, that's a former Pro Bowler. Unless the Broncos go out and take the absolute home run swing and trade for a Roquan Smith from the Chicago Bears, who just demanded a trade, there's really not much else out there at the middle linebacker position. There's nothing left out there at the right tackle position. And all pass rushers are always snapped up first thing in free agency. So there's definitely nobody that's going to really get anybody excited. You might find, a little hidden gem here and there every once in a while, but for the most part, all the good ones are gone. They don't normally make it to free agency, and if they do, they don't last long, as we all saw with Gregory, with Von Miller, etc. So if those three facets can do what they need to do, the pass rush can do what it needs to do, the middle linebackers can do their job, and the right tackle can do his job, this team can be 2015 dominant. With Danger Russ, I know what you meant, in the driver's seat of the Broncos, are the Broncos definitely making it to the playoffs? I have already done, if you go back and watch my last West is Best with Quinn, we did a complete breakdown. So I won't go in depth on why I believe the Broncos will go to the playoffs, but I will answer your question. Yes, I do believe that this team makes it to the playoffs. Number one, Danger Russ. Number two, they have the weakest schedule. This is something not enough people have talked about. They have the weakest schedule, the weakest strength of schedule in the AFC West by quite a bit, actually, because of how bad they have been over the last couple of years. They got a last place schedule. So that's what sets them up. And I do believe that the Broncos are the team that's going to go worst to first. There's been a minimum of one team going worst to first 17 of the last 19 NFL seasons. So there's almost always at least one team that goes from last place to first place. And it's typically because they were able to have a good draft, made some major signings or trades in the offseason, and completely revamped their roster. What does that sound like? That sounds a lot like the Broncos. And then they get to take that upgraded roster and play these really bad teams. And so that creates, I don't want to say an unfair advantage, but it does create an advantage for the Broncos over the rest of these teams, because the AFC West is going to cannibalize itself a lot. There's a lot of really good teams. This is by far the best division in all of football. There's really no one that can argue this. The worst quarterback in this division is Derek Carr, and the man just threw for 4,800 yards last year. That's the worst quarterback in this division. Almost threw for 5,000 yards last year. The youngest quarterback in this division did throw for 5,000 yards last year, and that's Justin Herbert. And I haven't even got to Patrick Mahomes, who is the best quarterback in the league. So this division is going to cannibalize itself to an extent. But I believe the difference is going to be that the Broncos will sweep the Raiders and split with the Chiefs and Chargers, while the Chiefs split with all three teams. And that's what's going to make the difference in a one-game division win for the Broncos. So not only do I believe the Broncos are going to go to the playoffs, I believe they're going to take the division from the Chiefs for the first time in 6 years, and they're going to snap that 15-game losing streak to the Chiefs when the Chiefs come to Denver in December. So that is how I feel about this team. And again, Saturday did nothing but enforce these feelings and reinforce them. So moving on, we've talked about the preseason game one, who we liked, who we saw, who we want to see more of. DJ Jones revealing the new moniker for the defensive line of Dark Side. I love that. Let me know what y'all think. I absolutely love the fact that they gave themselves the nickname of the dark side. It just matches way too much with their mentality and the way that they play. And also, it just sounds cool. And also, how has no defense ever used that before? I can't believe that. Like, we've had all these doomsday defense, orange crush. Nobody's used the dark side. So I love it. Let's keep that going, Broncos country. Next up, Broncos have their first cuts of the offseason. They cut 5 guys from the roster. Let's go ahead and bring those up and talk about any that might have been a surprise. But the 5 guys waived were guard Ben Braden, safety Jamar Johnson, running back Max Borghi, wide receiver kick returner Caden Davis, tight end Rodney Williams, and wide receiver Travis Fulgham. So first off, any surprises? There are actually 2 for me. Those are Jamar Johnson and Travis Fulgham. The reason for those are Jamar Johnson, I really liked him coming out of college. I like his athleticism. I liked what he did at Indiana. But that depth behind the Broncos, we've been talking about PJ Locke all off season, and he's already got a pick in his first game action he against the number 2s when the 2s went versus the 2s in the first half. I believe it was the second drive. It was either the first or second drive of the Cowboys where he picked off their backup quarterback rush over on the left side of the defense. So PJ Locke showing out. Caden Stearns, I absolutely love. We've talked about him a lot. So the depth behind Simmons and Jackson is absolutely insane. I think Caden Stearns could be the second coming of Kareem Jackson, and PJ Locke, he's just one of those versatile safeties. He's got those 2 guys have all the speed, size, and athleticism you could ever want as safety, and they're the backups. And the Broncos still have the best safety in football. Argue with me all you want. Go to the Twitters. I don't care. We can argue about Justin Simmons being the best safety in the league. Excuse me. The best safety in the league all day. I'll take on that fight any day, anytime, anywhere. But the next one that was a bit of a surprise was Travis Fulgham, especially after the injury of Tim Patrick. I really thought that he would be the guy to step up. But with the way that Brandon Johnson looked in both practice and in game 1, the way Jalen Virgil's looked, Montreal Washington's looked, a lot of people thought Washington would just be like that Trendon Holiday, can't do nothing on offense, but is an epic returner. Well, he's proven he can do things on offense. He's made some absolutely awesome catches, both in the game Saturday and practice. So those 3 guys alone showing out are the reason why Travis Fulgham was dropped. And they probably dropped him this quickly because they knew he wasn't going to make the roster. He's a veteran guy. He just led the Eagles in catches. It was either last year or the year before. So the guy has proven he can do something in this league. They just kind of let him go so that way he'd have time to go and find somewhere else. And he's actually already been picked up. Let me pull this up. He was with the Packers. Yes. The Packers claimed Travis Fulgham off waivers, and he was awarded to him. So he's already found a new home and with a really good quarterback on a really good team. So nobody's crying for Travis Fulgham. The man landed on his feet on a team that needs wide receivers and is very thin, going from a team that does not need wide receivers and is very, very deep. So he really flipped the script there. So all the power to Travis. Hope, wish him all the best and hope he gets what he wants and gets some time on the field and catches some passes there from A-Rod. Next, there's also another one's a little sad. We all were kind of pushing for the kid, but he really didn't do much in practice. He really didn't show anything in the game, and that is Colorado native running back Max Borghi. We were all kind of hoping he might be able to squeeze out and give us that new feel-good storyline that we could follow like we had when Philip Lindsay came to Denver, but it only took a matter of a week, and that dream was splashed because he is gone. All of these guys have been released, and they cannot be re-signed because the Broncos are at the maximum. So it's not like it's the final cuts where guys will get cut and then we could see them come back on the practice squad. I mean, a couple of these guys might. It depends if they don't find anywhere else, or if they find somewhere else and they get cut again. You might see him come back. You might see Max Borghi make it onto the practice squad, but it was another deep position between Williams and Gordon and Mike Boone. And, the list goes on with those guys there in the backfield. So not too surprising that he wasn't able to crack the roster, but still a little sad. And it's honestly the worst day for any coach. And no, unless you're a complete narcissist and an absolute jerk off, you don't enjoy cut day whatsoever. Just double checking. Nope, no Dylan yet. Looks like he's still having internet problems. We do have a question. Do you think Russell will be what Tom Brady was to the Bucs? I get what you're saying. I don't want to go off on another tangent here. I do believe he is that piece that the Broncos missed. Obviously, Russell's not Tom. Nobody's Tom. Tom's the GOAT. But can he be that missing piece the way that Tom Brady was for the Bucs? Absolutely. Absolutely, I do believe so. Excuse me. But speaking of guys that really probably shouldn't talk, moving on from guys that should talk, is Melvin Gordon went to speaking about the running back competition. And while, yes, he's a running back, and you would expect a running back to talk about the competition for his position, the things he was saying are the problem. And what did he say, you might ask? It was, I understand the way things are, and I do believe that they want Javonte Williams to be the number one back, but I don't like it, and I will not settle. It's just insane to me that he would say those things. Like, I'm really trying to find the nicest way to put this, because you've all heard me talk about Melvin Gordon and his, we'll say, selfishness and me first attitude before. And that's exactly what this is. Like, yeah, he said some of the things you would like to hear, like, I'll do my best in my role, and I'm here to support Javonte, and all those little things. But they were never said with the same gusto and with the chest the way that he said, I don't like it, when talking about him being the 1B back. This is something I've talked about since the moment the Broncos signed him. I hate Melvin Gordon's attitude. I hate it. I cannot stand how selfish he is, not only at the podium, but on the field. This goes all the way back to the final game in his first season against the Chiefs. All he had to do was stay in bounds on a final drive. It was supposed to be a 4-minute drive, kill the clock, win the game. Instead, this selfish fool ran out of bounds not once, but twice. All because he was just a few yards away from 1,000 yards for the season. I don't care that the Broncos were out of the playoff picture. I don't care that they had been eliminated weeks before. Your personal milestones never come above the team. And he did it then. He did it last year in multiple situations where if he'd just went down or went out of bounds, the whole game would have changed. But instead, he wanted to fight for more yardage when he didn't need to, when he already had the first down. He wanted to run out of bounds when he shouldn't have. He wanted to stay in bounds when he shouldn't have, because he wanted to pick up those extra yards to pad his stats, because he knew he was in a contract year. And I absolutely hated the fact that the Broncos brought him back, because I was hoping he wouldn't be a cancer. I was hoping he had learned from his time in San Diego. That's obviously not the case. And I don't think enough people have jumped on him for this. Too many people have given, you like the competitive spirit. No, you don't. Not that way. Not the way that he said it. It was vindictive. It was, I don't believe I deserve to be number 2. He essentially said that he deserved. He didn't understand. He literally said he did not understand why they wanted Javonte Williams to be the number 1 running back, but that he would deal with it, that he would do his best. He is a locker room. He just confirmed to me he is a locker room cancer. All that talk last year about somebody in the locker room having issues with the offense and creating problems, my money's on Melvin. I've always tried to give the caveat of like, oh, I don't, it's not personal with me, with Melvin, that it's not that I don't like the guy. Well, he officially made me not like him. Like it's beyond the just on the football field not liking. I don't like him at all in any way now. I always had my issues with him on the field, but after that, after what he did on camera, I'm done. I am absolutely done. Yes, he is. So my response to Melvin on I don't understand why, go look at the Ravens tape from last year. Go look at the booty marks that are probably still in Empower Field for Marlon Humphreys Heine and what Javonte Williams did to him. That's why. And then go and look at this Chiefs tape where you gave up a victory at the 10-yard line, fumbling the ball. I don't care. Everybody can talk about giving you the benefit of the doubt because Melvin Ingram was there when the ball got there. I don't care. Not anymore. You selfish? I'm selfish with my analysis. I'm done with it. I can't do it anymore. I can't be nice anymore. After what I sat and watched this man say about one of his teammates, it was one of those like, he did the whole with all due respect moments without actually saying with all due respect. Like, no, buddy, you don't get to make those statements. The man was a waste of a first-round pick. I don't like what he brings to the field. People can sit here and talk about his almost 2,000 yards from scrimmage. Yeah, well, when you force feed somebody that many carries and that many catches, and then let him walk after a career year, kind of tells you a lot of what you need to know about a player. If he was able to have the best year of his career, first year since he was a first-round pick, proved that he had the talent to be a first-round pick, and the first chance that he gets to go into free agency, your team that drafted you with that first-round pick just says bye and doesn't even give you an offer, should tell you a lot about who that player is. Yeah, he had his moments where he owned very bad Broncos teams, but when he played good Broncos teams, he sucked. So the whole modicum of you can't beat them, join them thing of some fans with Melvin Gordon coming over to when the Broncos were good, he wasn't good against them. When they were bad, he was good against them. But that doesn't make a good player. A player that feasts on inferior competition is not a great player. They're an okay to an average player. They're just doing their job. It's not special to beat up on a bad team. So I think I beat that horse. You are 100% correct. I do not call him the Grim Reaper for nothing. If y'all notice, I don't just give out nicknames to anybody. You got to earn them. And Javonte earned them. And he is going to do exactly what his job is. And that is to put people to bed permanently. And that is what he's going to do with Javonte. Javonte Williams is going to take a step so large, I don't even believe you're going to be able to consider Melvin Gordon a 1B by the end of the year. He is going to be a straight backup, maybe third down back every once in a while whenever Javonte Williams needs to take a breath and get a drink on the sidelines. That is where Javonte is going to put him, and Melvin's going to deserve it. Like, if Javonte does not take what Melvin said as a slight and as fuel moving forward, then I will be shocked. I will be shocked if he just lays back and lets Melvin take those carries from him. I believe he is going to have an even greater fire than he had before, and it's only going to make Javonte better, and it's going to take even more touches and catches and all of that away from Melvin. And I honestly don't believe Coach Hackett's going to enjoy listening to that press conference. I don't think we're going to hear from Melvin Gordon for the rest of the preseason, if not for the rest of the season, after what he did at the podium. If I was the coach, I would never he's the backup running back to begin with. Okay. I understand some people had some questions, but why is the backup running back up there answering questions from the media in the first place? I understand he was a first round pick at one point. I understand he was a quote unquote star at some point, but he's never been a star here in Denver. He's been the best running back when it comes to numbers outside of Phillip Lindsay. Phillip Lindsay did a better job, and had more yards than Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon hasn't had a 1,000-yard season with the Broncos. Phillip Lindsay had 2, and they let him walk. But yet, Melvin Gordon gets another. I don't even want to go down to that. I'm already angry enough. That it's just insane to me to think that Phillip Lindsay doesn't have a job in this league, but Melvin Gordon does. That's just, I still don't understand that. But I digress. Moving on to the final topic of the evening. Post-camp roster battle update. First up, who wins the backup quarterback job? We don't know yet. I talked about it earlier. Josh Johnson looked really good. He looked really good in the first half. But I want to see what Brett Rippon can do with the same guys. Because there's been talk all camp about how good Brett Rippon has looked. And I think he is the prototype of a backup, just like kind of Josh Johnson is. He's always been that, career backup, but I like Brett Rippon. I like he's younger. I like he's cheaper. So if he can show out and look as good as Josh Johnson with the twos, I think Brett Rippon can win it just simply because it would save the Broncos about $3 million. Well, not 3. I think it's like about a little bit over $2 million on the salary cap if they drop Josh Johnson and keep Brett Rippon. So we don't know. I think we'll figure that out this weekend. I think this weekend, if Brett Rippon is given a chance at the number 2s, we'll know that it's an open competition and that Rippon has a chance. If Johnson goes out there and plays with the 2s, just like he did last week, then we know Josh Johnson has the job in hand, and we can go from there. So I think I kind of answered this earlier. Has Billy Turner been handed the job by Calvin Anderson? I do believe so. Calvin has been given every opportunity to be the right tackle of the future for the Broncos. He's not it. He's just not that guy. He is not him at all. And it was proven again through joint practices, through the game on Saturday. Micah Parsons. Oh my goodness. The Cowboys, if y'all have anything to be excited about, look out for Micah Parsons. I've loved that kid. He was the only person I would have taken over Patrick Surtain II in the draft. So that's how highly I view him and how much I love the way he plays the middle linebacker, or just the linebacker position in period, because he doesn't just play middle linebacker. He's outside, he's inside, he's hand in the dirt, he's everywhere. He's just a football player, a lot like Baron Browning here for the Broncos. So he just absolutely cooked Calvin Anderson every chance he had in the joint practices and in the games. So Calvin Anderson, I'm sorry, guy. I was hoping for you. I was rooting for you. I really wanted to see that right tackle position solidified, but it looks like it's going to be another year before they get the right tackle of the future, and it's going to be another stopgap, and Billy Turner is going to win that right tackle position because nobody else has shown out. Nobody else has the resume that Billy has, and nobody else has taken the job from him, even though Billy has been hurt. So Billy Turner might be the first player I've ever seen win a job on the trainer's table. So for all those people that have been talking about you can't win a job on the trainer's table, I think Billy just proved you wrong. Next up, did the pass rush show enough in week 1? I think I went over that again. Sorry. Pass rush definitely showed enough in week 1. Baron Browning, Bitonio needs to clean up those offsides penalties a bit, but a lot of what Bitonio did in that week 1 reminds me a lot of what happened to Von Miller in his first season in the league, was him tamping back that first step quickness just a little bit to make sure he doesn't go off sides. So if he can get that underway, very, very, very much looking forward to seeing what him and Baron Browning can do. And yes, I am Team Brett all the way. I would love to see him get his due and back up Russ there. I just think that it's just they make too much sense together. They're almost clones. It's just one's white and one's light skinned. Like that's the major. And well, Russ has a much stronger arm, so there's that. But they are both very similar in their athletic profile, the way that they play the game. It's just almost twinsies. So I would just love to see Brett and Russ cooking in the backfield for the Broncos. And Brett's he's paid his dues. He's spent 3 years on the practice squad. He spent the year last year as the number 3 quarterback and won a game when he was asked to come in. He did beat the Jets. So, give the kid his due. Just let Brett go out there and do his thing. And is the safety depth murkier than ever? No, actually, I don't know why I asked this question myself, but no. After Jamar Johnson being let go, I do believe that the picture has become absolutely clear. The four safeties that will be on the Broncos roster are Justin Simmons, Kareem Jackson, PJ Locke, and Caden Stearns. That's your four deep safety rotation for the Broncos. So I think that's good. Let me I just want to make sure I didn't miss any questions. Any other last minute questions for y'all while I'm here? If y'all have any other last minute questions about the Broncos or really anything at this point, we're at the end of everything. So I am more than happy to talk about anything. If you have any questions across any of the leagues, as you know, I talk about them all. So real quick before I go, I will give y'all a few moments with a little bit of awkward silence to go ahead and type any last minute questions you may have. And I will double check on my partner. Nope, he's dead in the water. I guess it was the day of technical difficulties today. All right, so looks like we don't have any more questions, any more comments or anything by anybody. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up here. Again, I appreciate y'all. Y'all were absolutely epic today. Again, just like I asked in Sasquatch Says, please, all prayers and thoughts with the Nicholson and Wetstein family. We are going through a bit of a thing here with mother-in-law Mauritian. If you weren't here for Sasquatch Says, I will let y'all know she is on a ventilator, peg tube, trach, all that things. So things are a bit rough, but she's holding in there. Again, we love y'all. We love you, Mauritian. We love you guys. We're here for you. Anything that you need from the Tay 42 fam, we are more than happy to do whatever we can to make this as easy a transition as possible. We know it's not. Again, our hearts go out to you all. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all, especially showing up. Excuse me. So, as always, the Breakin' Broncos podcast, I'm your host, Dan Wetstein. The answer is 42. Don't question the blue.